Okay.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Megan.
Welcome to Sacred Soul Mornings. We are here talking about spiritual things, trying to find the true spirituality underneath a lot of different texts. And we're in chapter 18 of the Tao Te Ching.
Okay. And so here we are in another environment, but it's within your home. So I'm visiting Megan again this time, and that's joyous.
Super
All
cool.
right. So getting our minds kind of focused on what we're doing. Did you want to read your version?
Yeah, man.
It's pretty
Some
packed.
days, some days, some weeks, this is more applicable than others, but wow. This one is really applicable to our current time period of political unrest and not just unrest, unhappiness.
Yeah.
Holy cow. So it's called the Decay of the Tao.
Oh.
And I don't know what yours is called. Mine's different. So this is the version I use, right? So this is Menford. And it's really short. So chapter 18, it says, when the great Tao decays, benevolence and righteousness come into being. When intelligence and wisdom come to force, great hypocrisy arises. When the six bonds are out of kilter, filial devotion and compassion arise. And when the nation is in tumult, loyalty of the subject arises. And that sounds a little confusing at first glance. And so we're going to talk about what that means and how we can find some comfort even in the situation we're in, because apparently Lao Tzu found himself in the same position with the
Hmm.
government and with the morality
Hmm.
structures. I read that this was a direct opposition to Confucius and the system of
Hmm.
morality that was
Hmm.
established then,
Hmm.
and what it inspired why he wrote this. You know, because he was
Okay.
giving an alternative perspective to the rules of goodness and kindness and morality that Confucius said, hey, do that.
Yeah, and I think what I read, it was within Lao's court that he was a part of, and that leadership that was going on at the time. So, and I thought when you read yours, I'm going to read mine, but not because it's different, but because it maybe a little bit different flavor. It says a pretense of life. When we forget who we truly are, we turn to external rules. So that's kind of interesting to define goodness and morality. And then when we no longer live from our heart, we search for clever strategies to guide our actions. This is only a pretense of life. Duty and loyalty become substitutes for our inability to love ourselves and to love our others. Then we insist our leaders heal the suffering
Mm.
created by our own divided minds. And I thought that was interesting. Um,
So that one's getting a little clearer,
yeah,
still kind of cloudy to
yeah.
try to say, what does this mean for us and our
Mhm.
society?
Thoughts yet, or want me to tell some of my thoughts and
Well, I
things?
mean, I think it's pretty clear that the full message is pretty clear is that we are the farther we get away from our internal compass, our internal intuition, our internal recognition of being in flow with source, with nature,
Hmm.
with ourselves,
Hmm.
the more we have to come up with ways to rein in that behavior.
Hmm. And even I guess as on a human perspective or ego perspective, we we want to try to get some kind of control, even if it's just of ourselves, of our own emotions that are going out of whack because of whatever's going on around us. Maybe even that way too.
And so
Um,
some of those systems of control throughout history have been different religious structures.
mhm.
I think of even the Ten Commandments. You know, we learn in the New Testament, and I'm sure it's in the Old Testament too, but in the New Testament we talk about like the word of God is written on their hearts.
Hmm.
That's fine, but they couldn't quite get a grasp on that, could they, when they were running around in the wilderness for however many years?
Yeah.
And so he had to go up in a mountain and bring down some rocks with some writing on it that said, don't do this because you
Hmm.
can't, you apparently have gotten so lost in the woods.
That you need to have these
But
rules.
these 10 rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead. I mean, I can go back
Okay.
to Genesis if we want
We
to talk about
can,
that. Yeah.
and
I
we
mean,
will.
it's the downfall of everything. There's many world religions that talk about this
I
concept.
know. Okay, so mentioning nature, Tao's the way of the universe, and it is doing what is natural. And I think that's what that person meant when they wrote that, is getting back to nature and observing nature, imagining the interactions of living things in nature with each other. And
Well, and it's an internal awareness of your own nature and what it feels like. So we were talking yesterday at the kitchen table about little babies. Little babies know what feels icky and then what feels aligned.
Yeah.
Icky and what feels tender and fuzzy, like a little warm kitten. They
Hmm.
know that's
Hmm.
that. It's not like just observing nature. Like I love birds. I want
Yeah.
to be like
No,
a
I didn't
bird.
mean
I
that.
love flat. No, but I mean they might not
Yeah.
know. I love water. I'm going to be like the water. It's
Hmm.
about knowing your own internal
Hmm.
feelings related to a decision.
Hmm.
So before I make this nasty Yelp review where I
Hmm.
say, say I was 4 hours, they were 4 hours late, and I hate this person, and blah blah blah. You nasty, ugly
Hmm.
person. You're ugly,
Hmm.
ugly. You have an ugly face.
Hmm.
Publicly
Hmm.
on some
Yeah.
forum where you write things about people being morons and such.
Those kind of things happen.
Yeah, maybe you ought to say,
Yeah.
does this feel icky or does this feel tender?
Hmm. Hmm.
That's the Tao.
About what you're putting out there.
And if you can't grasp that, we start making social constructs to rein it in from external, like
Hmm.
laws,
Hmm.
like moral systems. We say, be kind, be good.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, and with that being said, um, if our loss of the way is substituted by good intentions, such as being benevolence, being good, being
It's
kind.
the opposite of being bad. Don't
Well,
kill someone. Does that
yeah,
make you a good person? Mm.
yeah.
I mean, you can beat all the Ten Commandments, probably. I mean, kind of on the
Mm-hmm.
on the outside and still
Mm-hmm.
be a nasty feeling human on the
Mm-hmm.
inside.
Exactly. And yes. Yes. Okay. And so then substitutes for the wave, going with the flow, going with the natural internal feelings that we were given. And and then we turn to a lot of times to what we think is right, what we think is, that is called righteousness. And so
Hmm.
sometimes people feel very righteous in what they think that other people should be doing so that they feel comfortable.
But that's also that's subjective.
And that's subjective. And our actions will lead to those kind of actions will lead to bad consequences because they lack the understanding of how things work at length in our world. So these short-term rules and structures and guidelines are going to fall apart.
And they do.
And they do fall apart. And it's been seen repeatedly throughout, I mean, on a big scale, seen throughout repeatedly through the centuries, through the ages.
Of governments rising and
I'm thinking
falling, of
about,
religions rising and falling,
hmm.
movements rising and falling, even in public school system behavioral intervention plan. No,
Okay.
you know what I mean, rising
Hmm.
and falling.
Hmm.
I mean, seriously,
Yeah.
we're at the end of PBS now, kind of.
Hmm.
I thought that was great, and then we realized that
Hmm.
wasn't good enough, so now we're doing something else.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Personal, what does start with P?
I don't remember
Me
now.
either. But anyway, behavior intervention plan.
No, it's not. Yeah, but whatever. It was a behavioral support,
Behavior
positive behavioral
positive
somethings. It's funny how our
intervention.
brains really block that out
It's
now.
okay.
But anyway, all well intentioned, but without an anchor of the internal compass. That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the being in the way.
So another little along the same line, Lao Tzu was not a friend of wisdom and knowledge. I like this part, so I'm going to share it just with you because I like it. He wasn't a friend of wisdom and knowledge. In the emperor's court, he saw wise men use their own wisdom for their own advancement, and it wouldn't help others. As far as knowledge, some think it is more superior than trusting the way, than trusting the natural way that things should flow. Some people think that knowledge is the way.
I would say most people think that knowledge is the way.
Yeah, I
We are
would
very,
think.
very evidence-based practice society
Hmm.
right now. Our scientific model
Yeah.
rules at the moment, even with the
Hmm.
flaws.
Even with the flaws. Um, and I think about we were talking about, well, we went to eat at a Asian restaurant today, and we were just noticing while we were sitting there eating. I don't know why I'm bringing this up, but I do know why I'm bringing it up. And noticing that you could hear the people in the back and just chitty-chatting, talking and clanking of the pots and the pans and peaceful and happy. And what it made us think of community. And I was thinking of they were working together for the advancement of all of them, not just
Their
for
family,
their family,
their
because it
family
is family,
community. Yeah.
and not just for the some individual that owns the restaurant because they own the
Hmm.
restaurant. But anyway, um,
Just a different way of living.
a different way of thinking.
Do we want to go and talk about some of these difficult words in here, though? Because I think
Yeah.
part of when I read the Tao Te Ching like years ago or a few times is I would get so stuck on the words and I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't understand. I mean, I know the vocabulary in English, but I couldn't understand the concept. And so, like when it says in here that when the Tao, the way of internal alignment, decays,
Mm-hmm.
benevolence and righteousness come into being. So you touched on that, that it's
Mm-hmm.
not really righteousness is an external thing that could be
Mm-hmm.
subjective, right?
Yeah.
And benevolence even. So those
Mm-hmm.
might seem good on the surface, but they're not
Mm-hmm.
driven by an internal um aligned with the way type decision, right? It's about
Mm-hmm.
an external thing. So we might
Yeah.
call them false righteousness or false
Mm-hmm.
benevolence might
Mm-hmm.
be easier in English.
Yes.
And then it says when intelligence and wisdom come to fore. So that might be hard for someone to understand that it might be bad when intelligence and wisdom come to the foreground and cause hypocrisy.
Mm-hmm.
That might be hard for someone to understand because we really glorify wisdom and intelligence and
Mm-hmm.
knowledge. But isn't that the fall of everything? We talked
Mm-hmm.
about Genesis earlier.
Mm-hmm.
In Genesis, what happened? They ate of
The tree of
the
knowledge.
tree of knowledge. And why was that a problem?
Yeah, why was that a problem?
Well, because when they were bare and naked, they were in full alignment. They didn't have any layers
Mm-hmm.
of coulda, shouldas on.
Mm-hmm.
No layers of coulda,
Mm-hmm.
shouldas, just like when a baby comes out.
Mm-hmm.
They have no coulda, shouldas on. They are naked.
Mm-hmm.
And then we start putting on the layers of, man, I gotta be good.
Mm-hmm. Like, I need to
Man,
be quiet right
I
now.
need to be quiet right now. Man, I need to look like I am well off. I need to look like I'm not
Mm-hmm.
well off. I need to
Mm-hmm.
look like I am a male. I need to look like I'm a female.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. All those coulda, shouldas.
Mm-hmm. Need to have a good vocabulary.
Need to have a good vocabulary. I need
So
to
that
be
I can.
able-bodied and have
Mm-hmm.
able-bodied verbal skills
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
to be worth something in our
Mm-hmm.
society. And so that's when the hypocrisy arises, is when we start naming things,
Mm-hmm.
when we start labeling things as a
Yeah.
concept that's beyond a feeling. We start saying, this is a man, this is a woman, this is a Caucasian person,
Mm-hmm.
you know, this is a whatever,
Mm-hmm.
socioeconomic status. This is a country.
Mm-hmm.
This is not my country.
Mm-hmm.
This is a border.
Yeah, us and them.
Mhm.
Us and them.
But we fade, and the earth, which is always in alignment with the Tao, stays.
Mm-hmm. And having trust in that.
Mhm.
And I was just thinking, because we've mentioned it before, Megan's brought it up before about the naming of things, that was the next step of eating of the tree of knowledge, the fruit of knowledge, or whatever. I do remember being a young person and going, I would have wanted that knowledge
Oh, I would
too,
too. Like
because
we don't want to be ignorant dingbats.
I
Yeah.
didn't know the deeper meaning of it. Um, but then then being instructed to go out and name things. And that's kind of interesting too. But then we get to, that's one of the layers around the vessel or whatever to keep it protected is, I guess, that naming of things and learning the names of those things so that you can exist here on
We're
this earth
more well,
as a physical
but
being.
that's the story, is you left Eden
Mm-hmm.
to be in the sensory experience of toiling in the dirt.
Okay.
Yay! Let's toil in the dirt and fully fill it.
And fully fill it. Yeah,
But it's a
signed up for this.
shadow. It's a shadow of what is really Eden. It's a
Yeah.
shadow of what is really behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Plato talks about that if anybody wants to
Mm-hmm.
look at Plato's allegory of the cave. So,
Yeah.
another thing in this chapter that was interesting and I didn't quite understand, but it says the six bonds, when the six bonds are out of kilter, kilter means messed up. The six bonds were filial bonds, they're familial
Family.
bonds. So, like, they literally meant family bonds that are
Mm-hmm.
supposed to tie together. And this is
Yeah.
in a Eastern family culture. Even maybe back then, it might have been less independent than
Mm-hmm.
the American way,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And so when that happens, even those very natural bonds are out of kilter, bonds that should exist just because you're in the same environment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So the filial devotion and compassion arise. Um, because oh gosh, that just hit me.
Mhm.
It's not just saying that you break down the bonds of a family. It's saying that familial, like family relationships, take on more meaning because of the naming of those relationships than
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
relationship quality.
That's interesting to think about. Yeah.
So it has nothing to do with if you and your sister, or you and your brother, or you and your mom feel aligned. It has to do with I respect my mother and father because they
Because,
are mother and father.
yeah.
And that is talking against that in here because he was speaking against Confucius
Mhm.
and that system that was external. Because an external system does not promote trust in
Mhm.
internal guidance.
Yeah.
It says, we don't trust you, you can't do it, and so I'm smarter and I'm going to tell you how to do it.
Mhm.
So when the nation is in tumult, loyalty of the subject arises.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I have that wrote about that a little bit. I didn't write about it. I got it from something else. But anyway, nobody has trust. Fragile loyalty. A ruler who loses power will instantly lose the loyalty of the ministers. That was what was used in this translation. Who moves on to praise whoever sits on the throne next. So fragile loyalty, when you have all these rules and these rulers are supposed to enforce all these rules that have been created, then if he fails or she fails or whatever, then the ministers, it's like, no, I'm not going to hang with them. I'm going to go hang with the next one because they're thinking about themselves. When people are unsettled, changes in government are more likely to take place. It's interesting. When people are unsettled, so people unsettled first, changes in government are more likely to take place. So we
Of
can probably see
course,
that.
of course.
And so then people get voted in, sometimes maybe with not the uh, more pure motives.
But I got to interrupt though. Okay, it's not that, yes, I mean, we're very upset about whatever's going on with people getting voted in that behave like they have personality disorder. But even if we had somebody else voted in, that wouldn't be the solution
Hmm.
either. The
Hmm.
problem is the government structure is the problem is because we need to build the people up so that they don't have to be ruled by external rules.
Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe there might be an idea of a governmental structure that's very loosely woven together, maybe that is there to provide humanitarian aid for when you can't do it on a small scale.
Hmm.
Maybe.
Hmm.
I don't know. There's no ideal to this, but I
Yeah.
do know that it has never worked since the beginning of time.
Hmm.
And the Bible talks about why that's not a good idea, too, let alone
Hmm.
the Tao Te Ching. Which is
Which
the
is
people,
thought.
Samuel was like,
Mm.
no, the
Hmm.
prophet, right? Am I right?
Hmm.
Yeah. Saying you guys don't want a king. They're like, oh,
Hmm.
yes, we do. Please give us a king. Well, that has not ever worked since the beginning of time
Yeah.
because people start out with the best of intentions, but then it turns into something that they have to create um, to control, even with the best of
Hmm.
intentions.
Hmm.
Because otherwise, why would it be? What would be
Yeah.
their purpose?
Yeah.
What would they do all day?
Yeah. It's big. When you've lived in our world, um, I mean, I'm just speaking from my experience, growing up like the way I grew up and many other people grew up, and to be raised in a way that you didn't have, you're told the right way and the wrong way to do things, and didn't know how to tune in to that inner voice that you're born with. And it's really hard to even identify unless you have had some of those layers of ego or layers of
Yeah, layers of ego
doubt and layers of shame taken away.
because
You
of
can't see it.
suffering,
Yeah,
usually, because that you don't have
because
to have the suffering path, but that might be the only way is a
it
suffering
would
path.
be.
Yeah, and then also just a culture we grew up in too, culturally, not just religiously, of making every choice for you, but we grew up next to a military base.
Hmm.
I mean, there were right and wrong ways about patriotism, even, and
Hmm.
what that felt like, and why is this good? But
Pretty
it was so
strong.
hypocritical. We talk about the word
Yeah.
hypocritical, but we grew up near the military base, and it was good to be in the military, but it was not good to kill.
Yeah.
Mhm. And what is the military
Yeah.
for?
And I know
That's what they're for.
when we were traveling from my home many hours away to Megan's home when I was traveling with Megan and her family, we listened to, not intentionally, I don't think
What
at
we
first,
listen to.
but listened to some of the songs of the 60s and 70s, the popular songs.
Vietnam
And
era
they
songs.
were they were some pretty deep messages in those songs about humanity and um, the atrocity of war. And people were feeling those things then.
Yeah,
And
nothing new.
yeah, nothing new under the sun.
Nothing new. It's just we go through periods where people try to squish it.
Yeah.
Yeah, try to squish it out because it, yeah.
And we listened to
Yeah.
that song too, Turn, Turn, Turn. That Ecclesiastes passage. Well, anyway, so Bible connections. Um, I don't know how fast you can flip to
Don't test me. Is everyone in the whole church
Isaiah. Oh,
looking at me? It's in the Old Testament.
yeah.
I can't
There is a
find it.
table of contents at the
I don't have any of those wonderful, wait, I think I just passed it.
Isaiah.
I don't have any of those little
I
tabs.
know,
So
they do help.
this used to be such a
Oh,
point of
breathe. I
anxiety. I
can hear
can't
you
even breathe right now.
breathe.
Yeah, well,
It's kind of
I
in the
didn't.
center.
So one of the things is that we did not grow up in a church where we were allowed to have Sunday school.
No,
So
we didn't learn it
we didn't get to do those beauty
externally.
songs.
We
We
got to
just
learn it
had,
by self-desire to do so.
mm, it was a passive,
64.
a very passive,
Yeah,
passive pressure
nudging.
to be better than other people,
Yeah.
like flipping to your chapters. And then everyone go,
Yeah.
you're still not, they would, it's so quiet. You could hear, but you're still messing around. They'd be waiting from the pulpit and you're going, help me.
Trying to find it.
Okay. Silently.
Isaiah 64:6.
Oh my goodness.
Way over there. Man,
Okay.
That's my contest.
Now,
I'm just kidding.
we have too many other books to read too.
That's right.
For all of us have become like one who is unclean, and all our righteous deeds are like a filthy garment, and all of us wither like a leaf, and our iniquities like the wind take us away. So we're covered with dirt and dirty garments.
And then it mentioned righteousness and
It's true. It's true. Yes. It mentioned righteousness in there.
but that it was something that
Righteous deeds are like a filthy garment
like a filthy garment.
because they're not aligned with self.
And okay, now I'm starting to relax a little bit. It's been a while since we've done this.
It's important
But
to
now
say
I'm
this
starting
as
to
it is.
thinking of gosh, I mean, growing up in the Bible Belt and being an adult and a grandmother and all that in the Bible Belt and working in an environment, school environment where there were a lot of churchgoers. And sometimes I would just, and I was a churchgoer for most of that time too. And I would think, really? You are talking about, I am a Christian and I believe in all the good things. And then I'm thinking, well, why don't you come over here and help this poor little dirty child that has dirty clothes on and stinks? And you know what I'm saying? I'm sorry. That's me being, I guess, a little bit judgy, but
So that's what they're talking about here. They're calling it out. It's important to call it out. We got to stop being afraid of talking about it because the next generation's watching. It's the truth. It doesn't mean you go, you're a hypocrite, but at least for self, at least for yourself, for ourselves.
Just and maybe in those kind of situations I learn, and I did, but learn, okay, that's where they are, but I can go do something.
But I will say that Jesus did turn the tables over in the temple.
Yeah.
Not that we need to do that, but it is okay to have anger sometimes, even at that. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's like when people go on mission trips that are vacations.
Yeah. And they get a lot of glory and praise for doing so, which means that they had money to begin with.
But instead of going to the area in your city, or except my pet peeve with this is that we have people who go and we only have about 5 minutes left probably. Is we have people going to like mission trips to Mexico, which is near and dear to my heart because of my multicultural family, for mission trips to convert them to who knows what. I don't know what they're converting them to. And they'll go to Mexico and help people in Mexico. That's fine. It's like a vacation, that experience. While we have those same people very angry about the same children who are pretty much refugee kind of families here in their very city.
Yeah.
Like the same people. And they don't like them
here.
Yeah. But then they'll go down there and be like, oh, good, we're going to I don't know what they're
How
doing,
yeah.
but that drives me bananas.
Yeah. The inconsistency.
Yes. And but yeah, but I feel for them too because you get so far off track because you don't know who you are either. That's where that stuff comes from. Because you don't know what feels good, you don't know what feels bad, and you've learned to ignore it to such a level that you can't go, huh, this feels kind of bad.
Yeah.
Like there's zero self-reflection because you can't. If you start reflecting on this stuff, you blow up your whole life of social constructs. You may find out that your marriage is garbage.
Yeah.
You might find out that your parents are garbage.
Yeah.
You're not garbage, but the relationship. You might find out that your job is complete baloney, even though it's based on scientific whatevers.
Yeah.
And then what do? Well, you just keep trotting on in the way, just like Lao Tzu went up into his mountain.
And we're all just people anyway. I don't know why Megan's talking about these very important, deep things. And one of the thoughts that popped into my mind, we went to an amusement park, a very nice amusement park, very, very clean all around it.
We went to Holiday World, Indiana.
Okay. And
you gotta hide it.
But very clean and all around it.
Very clean.
And except for one place. And that's what popped in my mind. Not the bigger things, but anyway, there are bigger things. But were the changing rooms.
They were disgusting. I don't know, people peeing on the floor.
Oh, not me either. But what the common thought that came to me, here all these women were in there and little girls and whatever, changing in their own rooms, and there were bathrooms in there. And then we all step out and we have kind of like a eek look on our face. But I thought, golly, we're all in this together.
But we're all primates.
We all had to go in there and face all this together.
Yeah.
And we come out all together, and then we go start putting on our shields again.
Well, that is why we should consider the lilies and the birds, because they at least know who they are. We somehow forget that we're in a flesh animal body, and then we get so confused whenever we encounter nasty things like people must have peed all over the floor.
And that's the least of what people have to go through sometimes.
But we just need to accept it.
So we're all in this together. And so I'm trying not to be judgy of other people, but learn, and so we go on.
Yeah. And there's no trying even, I guess, is it? Is if you're just trying to seek this way, it'll take care of it itself.
Yeah.
That's the magic. That's the key, is just think about it.
In it. Yeah.
And it'll do it on its own. What do you got for chapter 19?
I have our true nature waiting. Oh dear. Okay.
Simple undyed silk.
Okay.
Okay. Well,
our true nature waiting.
It is.
Okay.
And a plain silk that is undyed, yet to be dyed.
Okay, we will do this again soon.
Yes, we will.
Yeah.
So, thank you very much. I see we have 23 subscribers.
Yay.
Yay.
Thank you.
It might be the same as last time.
That might be.
It's been fun. Life is a journey, not a checklist. So enjoy the ride. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Megan.